this is Michael. I wish to give you a very quick rundown on what happened in New South Wales. The state of New South Wales recently released its own occupation list for the state-nominated visa 190. It's quite an interesting one. There's a lot of occupations available, and the state stated the minimum points a person needs to reach to be considered and the minimum number of years of employment to be considered. So let's look at the most common occupation where people are looking at, and that would be an accountant, right? So accountant needs to have, accountants, 115 points and 3 years employment. Let me stop there. What does it mean, the 3 years employment? Is it a after qualification, during qualification, after skills assessment, because 190 requires skills assessment? Well, the answer is not very simple. Depending on the skills assessment authority, whether they are imposing on their skills assessment deemed skilled. Deemed skilled means when you were considered skilled by that particular skills assessment authority. For example, VETSS is always putting a date when they considered the person deemed skilled, right? Engineers doesn't. Engineers Australia, they don't do it. TRA, well, TRA is a bit of a wild card because they're making so many changes. So what I'm going to tell you today will most likely not work tomorrow. There's a lot of questions to TRA whether the employment will or will not work. But very quickly, I'm going to go to an occupation called air conditioning mechanic. Air conditioning and refrigeration mechanics. It's a 65 points, which is achievable, and it has a 0 employment record or zero years of experience. Well, does it mean that if a person completes Certificate 3 in air conditioning and refrigeration in Australia, he doesn't have to have any work experience and meet the requirements for the 190 nomination? The answer is no. Why not? Because, as I mentioned, you need to have a skills assessment. Air conditioning and refrigeration mechanic is a TRA occupation, is assessed by Trades Recognition Australia. And air conditioning, electrical and plumbing are 3 occupations where students who complete those courses in Australia, they cannot go through job ready program and complete the skills assessment in 1.5 years or year plus. They remove that. They will only give you provisional, and then they require 3 years full-time employment as an aircon or plumber or electrical before you're eligible for full skills assessment from TRA. So even though New South Wales states 65 points and 0 years of experience, in reality, it means minimum 3 years because that's what's required for the skills assessment. Plumbers and electricians is going to have it even harder because they require 70 points and 3 years employment. What does it mean? It's 6 years in total. 3 for the Trades Recognition Australia and 3 after you've been deemed skilled. So we really need to be careful how we're going to play this game. And obviously, why would I even consider skills assessment and work 3 years full time? I complete a qualification Certificate 3, apply for graduate visa, work 2 years in the field of air conditioning or plumbing and get sponsorship, and I'm on the way to permanent residency. So we really need to be smart about the tactic and the strategy which we're going to use. So what we're trying to minimize is the risks. Because what we don't want you guys to be waiting years and years and years for something what may never come, because it's outside of your control, right? Second, let's look at the time, right? If I can get a job as an air conditioning mechanic after completion, after 2 years of employment, I can be sponsored. I've mentioned the sponsorship requirements in the other video. So in a simple terms, be careful in reading what the government issues, because you need to understand how all the pieces come together because that's why I strongly encourage people to not only look at the migration website, but always investigate the skills assessment authority's requirements, because not everybody's going to meet those requirements, or you may not necessarily have a visa to work, unlimited hours to meet if they, for example, have a full-time requirements. So again, this is all about strategy. It's all about finding who you are, what you want to achieve, what circumstances you are in at the moment, and design a specific pathway for you. There's no generic pathway, go to study and live in Adelaide and you get your residency, or go to Darwin, you get the residency. None of that exists. Those programs are highly individual, and you really need to have tailor-made migration pathway. What we do here, we provide a sheet of visa subclass requirements, duration, the next visa subclass requirements and duration, step by step, so our clients, and many of them are students of course, they understand what the journey is and what they have to achieve at every stage. Once they achieve that, they will get the permanent residency.